Why is Shin Godzilla way more superior than Godzilla King of the Monsters? Let us all be honest and admit that Godzilla King of the Monsters fell flat at the box office, like literally flat. In fact, one could argue that, apart from the classical Godzilla fans, audiences don't really care much to see King Ghidorah, Mothra, or any other kaiju rendered in glossy CGI. But we think that's an oversimplification. Welcome to Factholic, and in this video we're going to explain why Shin Godzilla is superior to Godzilla King of the Monsters. In contrast to the Monsterverse, the MCU movies Ant-Man and Captain Marvel did great. And it's not because they're massively popular, it's simply because Marvel managed to reinvent them for the big screen, to make them resonate with people who have never picked up a comic book. We hope Legendary Pictures take a note of this and try to apply the same principle to the Monsterverse as well. The real reason King of the Monsters fell flat is because it is flat. While fans, including us of course, who have loved watching kaiju fights since childhood, claim that all they wanted was cool fight scenes and more monster action, this is certainly not enough for everyone else. Godzilla and his frenemies don't just have to look cool, they have to mean something. There should be a purpose for their existence, rather than just popping out from their outposts, fighting amongst each other, and then disappearing into the vast horizon. It might make some sense to the long-standing kaiju aficionados, but to the general audience, it doesn't make any heads or tails. This brings us to the conclusion that Shin Godzilla is the best modern-day Godzilla film ever made by a wide margin. The 2016 Japanese film is sandwiched between Gareth Edwards' 2014 Godzilla and Godzilla King of the Monsters, and puts both to shame. In fact, Kazuo Ozaki from Eiga.com stated that Hollywood, even with all its money, can't approach this kind of perfection. True praise indeed. Monsters that capture the public imagination aren't just empty vessels, they are manifestations of our worst nightmares, and Shin Godzilla returns the creature to his roots as a powerful metaphor, the gargantuan lizard originally embodying the fear of nuclear annihilation. While Hollywood's Godzilla is a fat, friendly beast who appears to represent the most benevolent aspect of Mother Nature, Shin Godzilla seems to have spawned from a fever dream, forged from the terrible memories of the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear disaster and the 2011 Tohoku earthquake and tsunami. This makes the representation of Shin Godzilla more realistic and practical. Shin Godzilla represents not just the fear of nuclear contamination, but the apocalyptic element of nature, the unintended side effect of humanity's polluting, industrializing, climate-changing ways. The film's titular creature has no discernible personality. It is an animal, blundering through the city, confused, responding aggressively to the inevitable militaristic response. While the film suffers from the same issue that plagues nearly all kaiju films, uninteresting human characters, it doesn't really matter, because the human scenes are satirical, depicting a government slow to respond to a disaster, too bureaucratic to effectively deal with the chaos of Godzilla. The overly bureaucratic and slow-responding nature of the government is a common feature of all major world governments in the real world, so the film takes a lot of inspiration from it as well. While King of the Monsters has a half-hearted environmentalist theme, which is heavily undercut by its own story, Shin Godzilla depicts not just a terrifying creature emerging from the deep, but imagines the response of the government to be terrifyingly ineffective. The appeal of Godzilla is not limited to the spectacle of the great lizard, but humanity's relationship to him. Where did he come from? And how does our society respond? King of the Monsters is utterly uninterested in that question. The conflict boils down to an alien invader battling the Titans of Earth, that is, us versus them. Said Titans have no metaphorical undertone, just a vague environmental connection that is never really explored. They fail as monsters, being devoid of symbolism, existing only to rise up, bash each other about a bit, and then leave. Without some kind of connection to modern-day anxieties, how can audiences relate to a kaiju punch-up? As much as I love the sight of monsters fighting and biting each other to pieces, non-human creatures need to be imbued with something more than cool character design. Speaking of character design, Shin Godzilla's hellish appearance firmly distinguishes it from its cuddly American counterpart. The beast emerges from the ocean in an amphibious form with bulging eyes, unable to stand. It looks genuinely silly, but the irradiated mutant is able to evolve to suit its surroundings and quickly grows to resemble the Godzilla we know and love, but utterly devoid of anthropomorphism. Shin Godzilla behaves like a lizard, lacking mammalian facial expressions and body language, reacting seemingly with fear to the violence it encounters, though it's difficult to gauge what exactly it feels. It's a sentient hurricane, spewing atomic bombs from every crevice, really invoking the A-bomb metaphor that first spawned the creature. Shin Godzilla understands that the titular creature is far more than a nostalgia milker. He's extremely relevant to modern audiences, reflecting the natural and unnatural disasters the world currently faces. King of the Monsters, on the other hand, tries to tell a feel-good environmental apocalypse story and fails miserably. We'll be hoping that with next year's Godzilla vs. Kong, the Monsterverse will finally be able to resonate its franchise and adapt to the changing times. Nevertheless, this might be the final chance to establish the Godzilla universe in Hollywood, so fingers crossed. That was all for this video. Thanks for watching. If you want us to keep making more videos like this, make sure you like and share the video. Subscribe to Factholic for more interactive content, and don't forget to hit that bell icon to join our notification squad.